Good evening and welcome back to the ME7 Podcast. We're absolutely delighted this evening to be joined by former Gills loanee, Connor Mahoney. Connor, good evening, mate. Firstly, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, all good. Just put the kids to bed. You obviously messaged me a few hours ago saying get a podcast sorted, and I was like, I'm free tonight. So yeah, here we are now, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Let's get going.
Well, I messaged Owen actually a few weeks back, and I said because I think you guys have. So I know you gave Owen your shirt, your match shirt toward the end of the season, and Owen said sort of, we'll leave it a few weeks or whatever. And I thought I'd pop you a message, and when you said tonight, I was like, perfect, let's do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Owen, what a guest to have.
Yeah, I've intentionally put my camera in this room because the shirt Connor gave me is framed. I don't want to be like a big fanboy and have it in the background.
Hey, do you know what's funny? I don't have one Gillingham shirt.
I've got a few if you want them.
I don't have one of my own. I don't have one of my own. I think I'll give them away. I'll give you one. I'll give somebody else one. Last game of the season, I give someone away Mansfield. Yeah, and I think I've just given them away, so I don't actually have any.
They don't give you a new one every game.
We're at Gillingham there. Nah, don't do that. You get two of each colour, and I don't even think you're allowed to give them away like during the season. Otherwise, I think they run out of ones to print.
No, well, too late.
You know what I mean?
There we go. Right. Connor, let's go right back to the start of the season then. You joined us on loan from the former club now, which is Huddersfield Town. Tell us obviously how it all come about.
You know what? It was actually a weird one. Like we had, I wasn't getting a sniff at Huddersfield, and I basically just told the manager that, look, if I'm not going to be in the plans, I need to go and play because I've had a few years of not playing, and I just couldn't hack it anymore, but I couldn't keep going into training, not play. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't do that. So I was like, look, I want to go and play. And he was like, yeah, no problem, that's fine. And then we had a game against Bolton, I think. And a lot of like teams came and scouts and stuff like that to watch me. And I had a good game to be fair. I think I scored one, set up two, and I think we won 3-1 or 3-2 or something like that. So I did well. And then I was actually at home, and Chopper, obviously Neil Harris, he texted me. And I thought, oh God, I didn't know where he was at the time because obviously I've not spoken to him since Millwall days. But he texted me just saying, "How are you, Connor? Do you want to catch up?" And I thought, I went straight onto Google and thought, right, where's he at? Please be like near me, Blackburn. Do you know what I mean? So I looked Gillingham and I thought, oh, for God's sake, you couldn't get any further. So yeah, I texted him back and said, look, let me put the kids down, give you a ring. And he just gave me a ring and said, look, do you want to come? I know it's far for you, but look, I'll get you back playing, get you back enjoying it. The lads are great, and we want to go for promotion. I had other options as well, but you know, big factor was obviously Chopper and Neil Harris. You know, for him, he obviously signed me at Millwall. I knew him as well, so that was, you know, a big option for me. It took a few days, and then I headed down on the motorway and drove down. It took me about 7 hours.
Is it probably fair to say it would have taken a lot more from any other managers to convince you to travel that far for a move?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have gone otherwise. Yeah, that's me being perfectly honest. Like, if obviously Chopper wasn't the Gillingham manager and there was teams up north for me, it would have been difficult. You know, I've got at the time my missus was 9 months pregnant. She was ready to drop any day. I think any day. She had a few weeks left, but we'll get onto that. Because actually I had to leave him in hospital because we had a game, I think, on the Saturday. I think he was born on the Wednesday or Thursday, and I had to ring Chopper and said, look, like, do you want me for the game? And to be fair, it was actually really good. He was like, look, if you want to stay at home, you don't have to play the game. I think he was playing Mansfield, I think. But I left them in hospital and then drove down, and I didn't even train that week. I think I just left them, came, reported for the game. I think we drew 1-1, I think. Was it at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the game. So he's a good guy, yeah.
So what is, obviously you know him from your Millwall days, what was it Neil that made it such a pull for you to come to Gillingham? And as a man manager, what sort of qualities did he have that resonated with not just yourself, I'm sure the squad at the time as well? What was it about Neil that gave you so much belief and confidence that you wanted to drop a tear down to go and play for him again?
I think just the fact that he signed me before, do you know what I mean? So he knows what he's getting. I knew what I was getting as a manager, what he expects, what he wants. And the big thing was he said, look, you're going to come and play. That was a big thing for me, just to get back playing, get back enjoying it. And he was great for that. And as a man manager, he's quality. As I said there, like, he was going to give me time off, which I think anyway should be allowed for footballers. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the missus are pregnant, I know that we're not pregnant, but to leave little one in hospital and to go back down 7 hours away from him, and just be texting and stuff like that. He was like, look, if you need a Sunday, Monday off, just give me a ring, and it was good like that, which was helped me.
How have you found that this year, Connor? Because I've noticed sort of on your Instagram, you're always posting about the family, and obviously during the season it was constantly like you were back there on a Sunday and things like that. How have you found sort of that work-life balance between the family being up north and you being down south?
Yeah, it was difficult, to be fair, but now I'm back here. Jesus Christ, do you know what I mean? Being with the kids every day, like it's tiring. So I don't know how my missus did it. But yeah, it was tough. Like, obviously, I couldn't really come back during the week because we train on a Tuesday. We normally have a Wednesday off. We train on a Tuesday. I couldn't really get a train back for one night, get the train, because that started affecting my performance. Do you know what I mean? So I used to just do, like, if we had a Sunday off, you'd probably see me rushing from the game, trying to get to Ebbsfleet, trying to get to Pancras, and then jumping on like the last train to make sure I get back for like 11, 12 o'clock midnight, Saturday night, and then I'd come down Sunday night. So I do that like once a week, maybe. Sometimes twice a week. Sometimes I go back on a Tuesday, but yeah, not very often. And to be fair, they did come down for a bit. But just with two little ones, it's difficult, me at training and away for games, and she's away from her family up here. Yeah, it was difficult, but I said at the start of the season that's what I needed to do, to get back playing football.
Yeah, let's talk about the start of the season then. You unfortunately missed out on the trip to Como, because I think just after that Como trip.
I've heard it was a good do as well. Like,
we were both out there. It was very, very good, mate. Very, very good.
I would have enjoyed that.
But yeah, we started the season flying.
Started the season flying, and as soon as I signed, then you started getting beat. Our first game was Colchester, I think. We got tonked 3-0. I thought, oh Jesus! And then we got tonked again off Grimsby, I think.
Yeah, and we thought, oh my, yeah, because you sort of, was it at the end of was it near the end of the window?
Yeah.
So obviously we get that run of form. You were coming into a confident group, I guess. Yeah, you thought, oh, here we go, we're flying.
And as soon as I came, we started getting beat.
But coming into a confident dressing room and everything else, obviously, it probably made it a little bit easier, didn't it?
Yeah, obviously I knew obviously Scott Malone, Sean Williams, so I already knew them. And I've been around a few teams now to know when I go into a dressing room, I'm fine with that. You play against people, you know them through Instagram or stuff like that. So it's nothing new for me or nerve-wracking. But yeah, it was good. I don't know the results after that. Did we go on a little run or not? Might have not done, actually. I think we maybe won one, lost one, like that, kind of like iffy.
Pretty sure. So when we talk about the Colchester game, that would have been game 5 because we won.
Yeah, it was.
All that, and then I think there's a little. I remember Neil's last 2 games were the Mansfield one, and then the Crewe one in midweek was his last one.
Yeah,
that must have been mid-October, maybe. I guess.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many games between it, but I suppose that if you say about the Mansfield game earlier in the season, I think that's the one that's quite easy to remember because that was the dodgy free kick they got that the ref let them take, and they obviously scored. Yeah. How did you find your initial team? Because I think we got to talk about it. The Morecambe game in particular, the second goal of the game scored by yourself. I personally, I voted it for goal of the season. Didn't get
Personally, I think it's a robbery. That's not goal of the season. I know Scotty's going to say his was unbelievable, which it was. But yeah, I think they were both good goals, to be fair.
Like a TV commentator. But Jerry, can you try and walk through that goal, Eric? About
to be fair, I remember. I think Laps played a pass, and I tried to control it with the outside of my foot. It was a bad touch, and I always want to come in on the left. I can go on my right, but I always want to come in on the left. Just come in. I seen him go to tackle, chopped him, and as he got back up, went again. And then I think there was a kind bobble there for me. Hit the bobble, top corner. And that was such a good feeling. Do you know what I mean? To score my first goal, especially like that as well.
Yeah, I always felt watching you in the stands that sort of whenever you got the ball, you could always do something like that, where it was sort of off your seat moments and things like that, where it was just certainly attacking that Rainham end. And the amount of players that I've mentioned as well attacking that Rainham end. Did you feel that wave as well throughout the season, certainly attacking the Rainham end that we almost times?
Yeah, it was a weird one. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's the stand behind the goal or like because there's just no atmosphere like in the first half with the stand behind the goal. But you know that's our job probably to create an atmosphere. But I always feel second half when we go out there, we're always at it. I don't think we've ever had a bad second half. Whereas we've had some bad first halves. Do you know what I mean? And I actually love attacking the Rainham end. I don't know what that is either, but yeah, I've always enjoyed going towards that end, and you know the crowd's full and stuff like that. But we always feel like we've always penned teams in the second half, but in the first half we don't do that. So I don't know what they're going to do with that stand. Hopefully they can get it sorted and get it packed, and you know make it a proper atmosphere. So yeah, but I think that's down to us really. Probably our mentality probably needs a shift. So yeah.
I've always wanted them to not knock it down, but turn it into like one of those. I'd say medium, not as tall as a Rainham members, or medium, safe standing sort of stands would be good. But I think
it was good at the end of the season when Doncaster was there. They had a few fans there. Do you know what I mean? That was all right. But it's just like Tuesday night game when you've got maybe like I don't know a Barrow and there's like 20 fans in the corner and nobody's on that end of the stadium. Do you know what I mean? It is a tough one.
Yeah, when we won promotion in 2013, we had all our home fans behind it. 2000 final, we had fans, so we can do it. It's just I've never been against trying to sell season tickets in that area. I'm not sure how many would take it because obviously it would be weather dependent for 50%. But I think it's something we could look into. I think poor Joe Compa, I think he gets asked every fan's talking about 100 times, but it don't seem like it's going to be much change to it as of yet, unfortunately. But let's get on to the end of Neil's reign, shall we say. It's hard one to put into thoughts because I was really surprised about it. I know James was as well because we'd come off the back of a good draw against Mansfield, a game we could have won, but seeing where they ended up, it doesn't look a terrible result. And then Crewe away from home was quite similar to a game against Doncaster a few weeks before where we had chances, didn't score. Ultimately, I think Doncaster was 2 worldies and Crewe was just the fact we conceded 2 goals, but we had multiple chances. And it's one of those where it must be frustrating for you as a wide player where you're trying to create but the finishing touches aren't there. And I'm sure you'll say yourself you could have done more, maybe assists and goals wise, but it did seem to be ultimately what seemed to cost Neil his job. I think we were don't quote me on this, I know we were 5 points clear of the automatics, maybe 2 off playoffs or something like that, 3, and we were sitting 8th. And obviously in that position that early on, I think it was really harsh. I thought we could have given him more time because it was our first blip of the season, really. We hadn't poor form for weeks and weeks and weeks. We hadn't scored enough goals, we know that. But I guess the question is, what was sort of your reaction to it? Because I remember we, when the news broke, I think it was Connor Mahoney who had to go and do the pre-match, and he didn't seem like he was really wanting to be there or answer questions about it. But now sort of the dust has settled and you can look back on it, obviously, given your connection to Neil. How was your personal sort of emotions to it when he did hear the news that he was no longer going to be the manager?
Yeah, I was actually I was on the train back down, I think, and I got a text off one of the lads saying like Chopper's gone. And I was like, surely not. You know what I mean? Like, I think, as you said, 3 points off playoffs. We had a tough run, like Mansfield hard, Crew hard. So I was gutted that happened. I feel like we probably did let him down a bit, especially the Crew game. We weren't good enough. And I didn't have any, indication that he was going to get sacked. Nobody heard anything. He obviously, I think he said stuff after the game, but nothing that he was in danger of losing his job. And I think the lads were. I think we came in the next day or the day after, and the lads were like, it's a big decision to make that. Especially after where we are sitting. It wasn't pleasant, especially my connection with Chopper, and I came to play, obviously for Gillingham, but I came to play for him as well. So it was a difficult one to take.
Because you see things like managers losing the dressing room, but there was never any indication.
No. Yeah, I've seen that before. Managers, like, you losing the dressing room and lads start tossing it off, and don't want to play for him. But I couldn't say that about anyone in that changing room.
It seemed to me, Connor, that sort of the dressing room went almost the other way, where it's sort of you saw it for a few weeks that it visibly sort of affected a few of the lads. I don't know if you sort of noticed it we noticed it out in the stands, out on the pitch, that players that had been banging form and doing well, it visibly affected their performance. And I don't know whether you sort of noticed that as well, playing alongside them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I think taking as long as they did to appoint somebody weren't I don't know how long it was. You might know better than me. 6 weeks. Yeah, so taking 6 weeks to appoint somebody. Every game that goes by, it's another one missed if you don't win and stuff like that. It was obviously, it's not great to lose a manager during the season, especially when you want to go for promotional playoffs. That's the decision they made, and
Was that sort of period in between where obviously I feel a bit for Keith Midden, because obviously it's an interim, you don't know how long you're going to be there. Do you need a weekend? Are you going to be there or not? It seemed to me like that period with Keith, those 6 weeks were a bit of like a blip. Like, results weren't particularly terrible, but they weren't particularly good either. It's sort of like much of a muchness. The win at Swindon obviously being the high point in that. But as players in that situation, obviously you got to get on with it because you're professionals. That's just the way football is. And there's really players in that dressing room, like the experienced ones who are going to have had this experience with managers before. But did that feel like a frustrating time, that period, just sort of waiting for a bit of clarity as to who is going to be taking over?
Yeah, I think that's exactly nail on the head there. I think we just wanted to know what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, who's getting appointed? How long is it going to take? As I said, like 6 weeks is a long time during the season. Do you know what I mean? That's probably, I don't know how many games it might have been. 7 or 8 maybe?
Yeah, we'll see midweek ones as well.
Yeah, so it's a lot of the season there. Do you know what I mean? To not, I won't say not know what we're doing, because we did know what we were doing, but to not have a manager and, to go through stuff properly. And I think Keith won his first game, and then, I think we won, like that kind of vibe. But yeah, it's difficult for him as well, because he doesn't know if he's getting a job or if he's not getting a job, and lads don't know, who's coming, who's not coming. It's difficult to do that. But at the end of the day, we've got a job to do to go on the pitch and perform. And
obviously, the man that did get the job was Stephen Clemence. What was his first sort of initial message to you guys then when you very first met him and just with the group?
Funny enough, I actually didn't meet him with the lad, because he got announced and my little one got rushed into hospital. So I had to give him a phone call and just said, look, I'm not going to be in training for a few days. I've got to go back north because my little one was badly ill. And then I think we played, his first game was Hereford, wasn't it? Yeah, so I ended up meeting a team. So he come out of hospital and I rang him and I said, look, I want to play tomorrow. Like, it's your first game. I'll come down. So I ended up getting a train down to Hereford. Ended up playing that game, but the night before I stayed in the hotel the night before and then played the game in the I think afternoon, when it's Saturday afternoon. But in the morning, my missus told me that he got rushed back into hospital. So I went down and spoke to him. I said, look, my little one's back in hospital. And he was like, do you want to go back? And I was like, look, I'll play the game. And then I'll have to shoot straight after. So if we're winning, take me off. Do you know what I mean? A bit early. So I think he actually did. I think he took me off at like 70, 75 minutes or 80 minutes. And then I think it was Scally gave me a lift to the train station so I could shoot back home and spend a few days, because he was still in hospital at the time and he weren't great. But just the first chat he gave was pretty typical of a manager. Like, he wanted to play good football, you know. He had a lot of ideas. It's his first job. And me personally, I thought it was great. A great manager, great guy. First and foremost, really good guy. And you can tell he's worked at a higher level. Personally, I think with some of the stuff he wanted to do. So I wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, I was disappointed that obviously he got the sack. But we'll probably go into that if you wanna go into that.
But this is, before I say anything, this is thoughts of me and me alone. Personally, I think obviously you know better than me because you're with him daily, whatever. I never really bought into him that much. I didn't think he had, I don't want to say aura because it seems like a quirky term, but like with Neil, obviously he had that relationship with the fans. I don't feel like Stephen really had that, and I really understood his style of play. I did also think sometimes, well, when you've got a team that don't score many goals, it's going to be kind of difficult to implement that if January doesn't go well. And obviously with incoming signings, it's not always down to the manager. There's obviously people in place who make those certain decisions, ones that were, you know, in hindsight, not great in January, but not to name names or anything. But I think the game that sort of spun it for me was, we went to Wimbledon. I think we were so poor that night, and I just didn't. As the first time, I was like, maybe this isn't right for him, because obviously I always like to look at it and think, Kieran McKenna, Liam Rossini, people in their first jobs obviously excelled. I was always thought, give it time, it'll maybe work. And after that, towards the end of the season, I did become a bit more like, well, maybe it's, give him a full summer, give him next season and see what happens. And then obviously the Harrogate game happened, and that was, I'm not going to put all that down to him, because there were obviously individual errors in that game that led to the score being what it was. But I think towards the end, I sort of just became a bit ambivalent towards it all. I didn't expect him to be sacked. I was expecting him to be here. But when the news broke, I wasn't particularly disappointed. For me, it just wasn't someone that gave me a lot of emotion and gave me a lot of confidence within him. Obviously, you'll know him as a person, and as a manager, I just look at the performances and what I see in press conferences, etc., from behind the curtain, if you like. But for me, he just didn't seem to have that. I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say nous, because obviously it's his first job. You're going to struggle to have that. But I think the connection between the fans and the dugout was really lacking for me, and that's especially in a tier like we're in, League Two, those sort of things are really, really important. But that's just my opinion. James, you want to say yours as well?
Pretty much the same. I don't know how you feel, Connor. Obviously, you're with it. You just mentioned a bit there where I think you've hit the nail on the head where you said about he's done it at a high level. Do you think maybe that sometimes with certain players, what he was trying to do and trying to implement was almost, it was too much, and it was almost, sometimes you get coaches and managers that have played the game, and I was watching a podcast with Henri once, and he basically said that he was, and he basically said what he was trying to coach and implement, the players just couldn't do. And he would go into a box and like a keep ball box, and he would do it himself. Almost. Do you think almost these ideas were just not what you necessarily needed at that level, potentially?
Yeah, it was a difficult one to answer that as well, because it's kind of saying the lads aren't good enough to do what he wants to do. But listen, me included, I played League Two last year, so we're at that level for a reason. Do you know what I mean? But I do think you're right. Yeah, he did have some ideas that maybe me, myself included, weren't good enough to do. But I think also it's his first job. He wanted to kind of put his stamp on the club and stuff like that.
I think what come across for me was the tactical naivety, where you look at like Neil Harris, for example, where he would game manage at that level deliberately and set us up tactically, and we were very, very hard to. And went the other way under Clemence, where we become more front-footed, but we almost become defensively worse. And that naivety and that game management, where he hasn't got the experience at that level, maybe that's what affected.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. But then also, you can't have it both ways. Like, if fans want us to be scoring more goals, we might have to concede a few. Do you know what I mean? Whereas under Chopper, it looked like we didn't concede many, but definitely didn't score a lot. So if they wanted to go that other way and score more, we might have to concede a few. But I think it's finding that right balance. Do you know what I mean? I think you've got to find that right balance.
I think let's put it onto the question then of obviously, I know you're an ambitious guy and you want to play at a good level and League One, Championship or whatever else. So let's take the season apart then, of you being in and around that dressing room day in, day out. Where do you think the issues are, and on why we haven't gone and reached the top 7? In your opinion?
Well, I think the big one's scoring goals, isn't it? I think we obviously, if you're looking at the team, we didn't have a striker. Maybe I personally think we had good strikers. That's me not saying it because I'm on the podcast, but maybe we didn't have a goal scorer who's going to score 10, 15 goals. You know, even little crappy ones that just nick off you, or fox in the box kind of thing, where a shot gets parried and somebody just taps it in. I think obviously that's a big issue. I think we needed to, get somebody probably in January and somebody coming in straight off the bat and, could give us a good 3 or 4 months and score, 6, 7, 8 goals. And also probably the creative one. I think we went to a back 5. Went to a back 5, 3 in midfield, 2 up front. And then I started playing in centre mid, which, I've never played there in my life. And you could probably tell when I did play there, I was so far away from the goal that, it just didn't suit me. And I don't think it suited the team as well, because I'm not saying everything creative comes through me. It doesn't, do you know what I mean? But I think if we played the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, whatever the manager wanted to play, during the whole season that it was there and just proper stuck at it, I think we probably would have, picked up a few more points. I think we must have played 8 to 10 games of, a back 5. And for me, I just think it's just a bit defensive. Like, you got 3 solid midfielders in there, unless I'm playing, and then you've got somebody just floating around trying to get on the ball. But yeah, I just think, if we played 4 at the back, just old school, 2 good wingers, big man and little man in the box, I think, you'd have a good foundation, because everyone now goes to back 5. And I think there's so much you can exploit, with a winger against, an outside centre back. I can't remember who did play it.
Notts County did it.
Notts County played 5 at the back, don't they? And we batted them. 3-0, didn't we? Yeah. So yeah, that was like that period there for me was frustrating, because every game was passing by, and I was playing in midfield, then I'd come out, then I wouldn't play. And I remember going to the gaffer and said, look, like, if you want to get the best out of me, play me on that right there. And, I think I can do a job for you. And I think the last 5 or 6 games I did play there, I think I scored a couple of goals. I scored a winner at Morecambe, scored against Barrow. But when I was playing in that centre mid position, I wasn't getting anywhere near the goal. And I wasn't going to be one of them players who go and smash into people and break up the play. You need me a bit more further forward, do you know what I mean, to kind of get onto the ball and create. So yeah, I don't even know what question you asked then. I just went off in a tandem. But
no, I like it. I like the honesty.
Yeah,
it's good.
It was like a really weird one for us, because individually, like yourself, Johnny, George, Romeo when he came in, just 4 people there. There's going to be more that are very, very good creative players at this level. I did feel like when you were saying about where you played in centre mid, I think you probably had a tendency to sort of drift out wide a little bit just naturally because that's where you play.
Yeah.
And then perhaps unintentionally, you and Romeu sort of take up the same space, and it gets a bit difficult. And I think teams seem to work out sometimes that if they stop us down the right hand side with yourself and Romeu, they're going to be pretty comfortable. And I think that's something that obviously next season we're going to have to work on with obviously Romeu and someone else maybe in those positions, because I think both managers had a problem with, obviously with Neil there was no Ollie for the whole time he was there because he was injured, and Stephen obviously only got the late part of Josh Andrews, who I think has looked pretty good since I've seen him. Obviously got off the mark, which is good, but from your point of view, do you see it as sort of a problem being in the amount of draws as well? Because there was a lot of games at the start of the season where we just never drew. We didn't draw. I think it was probably a few months in, and then towards the back end of the season, every home game seemed to be a draw. And look at the 2 games against Forest Green, who obviously went down 1-1 at Priestfield and 0-0 at their place. There's still results like that Tranmere game as well, where I know it's all hindsight, and there'll be like God knows how many examples of other teams who were thinking, oh, we would have got the playoff, got 1 point here or 1 point there. But it's frustrating a bit more when there is so many examples of those draws where if just one bit of creative spark could have turned it into something more. But that's football, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And I think there was too many games last season where we did draw against teams where we, no disrespect to them, we should be beating. As you said, I think we drew Forest Green away as well, didn't we?
Yeah, twice. Yeah,
I remember that game because honestly, we were just attacking for I think 45 minutes, and that ball would not go in the back of the net.
As when they had, I think it was Deeney's first game for his back month.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. And then we played them obviously at our place, I think, and then we went 1-0 up, didn't we? And then they scored a screamer, I think. But yeah, like I think draws are good sometimes against good teams. You know what I mean? If you're playing a top tide, sometimes you take a draw. But I think going forward for the club, if next season, if I was a manager and I was playing against these teams at the bottom of the table, and you want to pick up 3 points there, I think you just got to go from the first minute at it. Do you know what I mean? Go for the neck straight away. Get a couple of goals. I know it's easier said than done, but I think them games are kind of just go and play, go and express yourself, go and have fun. And I think that's when you get the best out of players. Take the shackles off. He used to always say that, to be fair, take the shackles off. And I think that's when you get the best out of the players, especially now at the club. There's some very good players there for that level.
Who did you enjoy playing with the most?
Who do you think? I know who I think, but go on. Who do you say?
I reckon Johnny Williams is up there.
Yeah, Johnny Williams.
Yeah.
He's a little magician.
I was going to say Masterson because he scored all the goals.
No, you stick him at the back. He thinks he's a striker now because he scored 6 goals. You know what I mean? He thinks he should be. It's funny because he said he should be on penalties as well. Penalties, free kicks. Yeah, he thinks he could be a striker. To be fair, he is a little fox in the box as well. Everything used to drop for him. So yeah, but Johnny's quality. Good player, a player that I like playing with. I know if I give him the ball, he's gonna be able to handle it, and he's a good lad, good player.
You probably all have seen over social media the amount of contract signing emojis that you've been sent by people, fans, players, staff, the whole lot. Can you give us a little exclusive tonight or not?
Well, to be fair, there's no exclusive. Exclusive. I've just been back north with the family. Back into dad life. Obviously, I'm a free agent at the moment. So yeah, it's down to the club if they wanted to get in contact. And I don't know. I haven't spoken to anyone at the club. Since I left, I don't know if they've spoken to my agent or whatnot. But yeah, there's nothing imminent. As I say, I've got a few holidays booked. I'm going to enjoy some time with the family. And then just see what happens. But as I said, like this season has been so enjoyable for me, and to get back playing, and I'm just gutted that we couldn't. I watched the playoffs actually the other day, and I just thought I would have been absolutely buzzing to be able to get into the playoffs and to achieve something. But yeah, you never know.
I suppose as it's the off season, you'd probably we saw Glenn Morris signed his contract extension today, and he's going on holiday straight after. As much as a player, you want to try and get your future sorted before you go on holidays, and so you don't want to, be sitting by the pool and think I've got a phone call from XY person. You kind of want to get it sorted before, sooner rather than later, wouldn't you? Especially with pre-season being in July.
To be fair, as you can probably tell, I am so laid back, as a person, just go with the flow, chilled. My missus always says, you're not panicking or anything I'm like, it is what it is. I go on holiday at the end of June. I think we'll go away, and I think teams are back in July. So yeah, if it gets done before then, something gets done, something pops up for me that will be good for me, then yeah, I'll take it. But I think just to have a nice refresh, do you know what I mean? I'm not even kicked the ball since I've left footy. I've only just started going back into the gym on Monday. So yeah, I've had a nice few weeks break, went on holiday. So yeah, I've not really thought about football much. But I still speak to some of the lads. Me and Johnny text all the time. Me and DJ text. Scotty, Skip, Sean Williams. What a player he is, by the way. Yeah, so I'll keep in contact with a lot of them.
I suppose, is it fair to say, just going off your comments from the Bradford game, I think that, say, this is all hypothetical, obviously, but say if Kenny Jackett or whoever else got on the phone, Mark Bonner, and gave you an offer that was, hit all the right points for you, that you'd hardly consider returning? Obviously, you're going to have other offers, we know that, but optimistically thinking.
Yeah. As I said, obviously after the Bradford game, I did an interview and said, look, if they want to keep me, then it's down to them. I'm not going to be coming on here and say, oh, please sign me. Do you know what I mean? Because I know what I can offer a team going forward. Do you know what I mean? So I know that whoever I do sign for, will be getting a good player. And I think there's still so much left for me to give. I mean, this season was the first time I've actually properly played football for 4 years, which probably people don't even know. Obviously, I was at Millwall for 3 years, didn't really play. I was at Huddersfield for a year, didn't play a minute. So this season was me just getting back into it, really. So I think the next couple of seasons is where you're going to see me really trying to put my stamp on whatever league I play in. And hopefully create some good memories.
Obviously, yeah, it's a new man in charge. Just give us your thoughts on, obviously, firstly Clemence getting the sack, and then new man Mark Bonner coming in.
Yeah, so I think obviously Clemence getting the sack, I thought was harsh. I thought he deserved at least the summer to bring in his own players, try and implement his style fully. He could have had a good 6 to 8 weeks there. Because during the season, the games Saturday, Tuesday. You can't really do anything. Do you know what I mean? Formation-wise, tactics-wise, you can do a little bit, but you can't fully change the culture of a club or put a stamp on that he wants to. So I thought it was harsh that he got sacked, if I'm being perfectly honest. But at the end of the day, Brad and Shannon want to go in a different direction, and they want to give this manager a full pre-season, which is you look at both sides of the coin, can't you? Really, do you know what I mean? Some might say he should have been given the summer, but then you kind of, if he after 10 games it didn't go well, then you're kind of in the same situation as was when Chopper left. So yeah, I would have liked him. I think he would have done really well if he did stay and was able to bring in his own players and implement the style. But obviously the new manager's come in now, and he's going to be able to do that. So yeah, it's looking up.
Do you have any this isn't regards to Gills, but just had a thought. Considering obviously they've now dropped the division, Huddersfield. Were you always in your mind thinking that's definitely a no-go, as in staying at Huddersfield? Because I thought, given how well you performed in League Two and that they've obviously now dropped to League One, they might have had a thought of wanting to keep you around. Was that ever a conversation or not really?
Nah, not for me. The shit was, just the way they have been, and I'm not going to come on here and say too much, but I was there for a year. Didn't play a minute. I did everything, went into training, wasn't a bad egg. so I knew when I was going out on loan, that was me done. I haven't spoke to him, and if they did ring, I probably wouldn't answer anyway. So yeah, that's where I'll be there.
Before we let you go, Connor, whether you return or not, I guess from everyone on behalf of Gills, certainly the fan base, thank you very much for the season just gone, for all your efforts and everything else that you've given in the Gills shirt. I guess give us one final message to the Gills fans, maybe not for the last time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and obviously, I loved it so much being a part of the team. Obviously gutted that we couldn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. But yeah, just thank you for everyone. Everyone was so kind, even like on social media, messaging me and stuff like that. And yeah, just thank you, obviously, to the club as well. Brad, Shannon, Kenny, Chopper, Stephen Clemence, Robbie Stockdale, everyone, the backroom staff are so good. Even the kit man's a nutter. I still speak to him. But yeah, I think the club is in such a good place behind the scenes, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they can get back to where they want to get to. I think they've got a really good team. Hopefully, they can add a few more additions, and what will be will be. If I come back, good. If not, then I will still be watching from afar. As I've got friends there now. So yeah, I'll keep in touch with everyone, and it's been a pleasure.
There we go. Great way to round it off, guys. You've been listening to the ME7 podcast with Connor Mahoney. Connor, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we wish you all the best. Hopefully, back in a Gills shirt next season. If not, definitely all the best for the future.
No problem. Appreciate it.